and how that factors into the big picture here with this 213,000.
Since the Finance Committee said tied this to the stabilization fund, I will allow the question and the response. Mr. Sturtevant.
Sure. The stabilization fund, the recommended level that we should be at is about $1.2 million to $1.5 million. Currently, that is around $700,000. We use that as one, obviously, as a bond rate. The bond rating agencies use that to give us our rates, as well as when we need to supplement our debt service. Those are the big two reasons what it's there for. Did that answer your question, Bob?
What is that 700,000 that you're lacking impact on our interest rate or our back of the envelope when you talk about percentage points?
It's hard to say. It's up to the rating agencies and what the economy looks like at whatever time we're going out to bid. So it could be a point, could be a half point. That's hard to say.
The lady at the microphone, please state your name and address, ma'am.
Carol Dingman, 7 Strawberry Lane. I understand that pretty much every department has needs. I know for a fact that the school department was not able to give us all the teachers at the Batchelder School that we had last year. So we've even cut a teacher from our classrooms. My daughter's in a very large class, but that's really not the point of this. The point that I have is that we're all cutting back and we're all doing things privately. I know we had the SOS that raised money for some books for the schools. The parents organization at the Batchelder School bought new desks for the 3rd grade. The desks that were in the trash were actually old desks that the parents paid for replacement. The parents bought the tables in the cafeteria at the Batchelder School. We've bought screens for the buildings. We all are cutting corners, and I think that it would be more prudent to spend our money on measures that would be more cost savings. I'm a little disappointed I don't see more cost saving measures. For example, money expended on a job search for a grant writer for the town, maybe some software that could expedite some work we do with the town hall permits and that sort of thing, maybe get a web service going. I think that this is I'm sure these things are needed by all these departments, but I think that it's not appropriate at this time.
Mr. Norton, please state your name and address, sir.
John Norton, 279 Main Street. I think as we look across this entire article, we have to keep in mind priorities. And I think the town should look at the priority of public safety first and foremost. I'm a little disappointed with the FinCom recommendation on this, to be quite frank. And I'm going to speak to several other line items here tonight that address public safety. As the Chief of Police just pointed out, this is the maintenance of his computers, telephones. Part of that computer system are the individual computers that are in cruisers. If you shut those computers off, you're now going to have one desk man per shift trying to fulfill patrol cars, telephone requests coming in. A lot of the work that can be done by computers can be done by the individual cruiser shift people, because they can do registry checks, so on and so forth, right off the car computers. I'm totally amazed that the FinCom doesn't put more priority on public safety. I would hope town meeting does tonight and pass this line item. Thank you.
Gentleman at the microphone, please state your name and address, sir.
Jack Collins, 23 Tower Hill Road. I also am in favor of this line item, but could I ask a point of information to the FinCom? Obviously, they're in disagreement with the selectmen as far as voting for this as one whole item. Could you run down the lines that you are in a disagreement with?
The line, sir, Mr. Thomas, is line 31, which is the subject
We're
of
talking
the
about
motion
the whole
before us.
article here, and FinCom is in disagreement with taking
Oh,
this
you're
as
saying
one.
you would like to have an
I'd like to
overview
know
of...
from FinCom how many line items they're in disagreement with the selectmen on.
That's a fair request. Mr. Sturtevant, yes, could you please?
I mean, typically we'd make those recommendations with each line item. That's why we asked to go individually. But if you want, we made two distinctions. One, those being funded by state aid, and two, those being funded by cell tower. Lines 34, 42, and 53, as well as 31, which are all proposed to be funded by state aid. The FinCom voted, and I correct myself, for not unanimously, to reject. Line 45, 38, 35, and 61, all to be funded by the cell tower revenue, were also not recommended. Okay? Say that again? Sure. 45, 38, 35, 61, all funded by cell tower revenue. The FinCom recommended not to do so. Line 31, 34, 42, 53 were our no votes to be funded by state aid.
Okay, on the motion which is on line item number 31, is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of voting $15,550 for line item 31 to be raised and appropriated from the tax levy. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. The motion is carried. Line item number 34.
Line 34, fire expenses. I move to increase line 34, the FY 2003 operating budget fire expenses by the sum of $10,000, and that said sum be raised and appropriated from the tax levy.
Again, FinCom voted not to recommend this line item for increase. Again, these are the cuts that came about because the town voted not to go for an override. We asked the town to put these things in an override. The town said no. These are not permanent sources of revenue. We're going to deal with this again in a few months if you put it back.
Any further discussion? Does the Board of Selectmen wish to make a recommendation? Mr. Murphy.
Mr. Moderator, the Board of Selectmen unanimously recommends. Again, the budget process was very difficult. There are many things that were cut from the budget that were not included in the warrant, that the entire community did not see. The budget went through many passes, and it was quite a process. So now that we've got a couple of months to see how things are going, and the other piece being with the additional state aid and the reduction in state charges, we have some funding. We provided appropriate funding to the schools, and we're trying to provide some funding so that our departments can complete the year. Again, this will make next year's budget process difficult, but we will find a way, and we will work as a community to get through it again, and we will work together. Thank you.
Fire Chief Ed O'Brien. Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Fire Chief Ed O'Brien. I'd like to inform town meeting that the restoration of $10,000 to our operating budget is only a portion of that which was cut. We were cut $34,000 from the original budget as we requested it, which was requested to be somewhat level funded. We were cut $1,000 last October at town meeting, so it's a total of $35,000 from where we should be, and that's pared back, being reasonable in our requests. This again, it comes into our communication area, replacement of certain items that are wearable, service charges, etc. It's needed. We would appreciate if we could have the portion of the $35,000, if you add it all together, restored back for this year's budget. Respectfully disagree with the need for the Finance Committee on the Fire Department budget. Thank you.
Any further discussion? On line item number 34, which is $10,000 to be raised and appropriated from the tax levy to be transferred to line 34 of the fiscal 2003 operating budget. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. Motion is carried. Line item 42, Mr. Murphy.
Line 42, health expenses. I move to increase line 42 of the FY 2003 operating budget health expenses by the sum of $7,800, and that said sum be raised and appropriated from the tax levy.
Mr. Sturdivant.
Once again, the Finance Committee has not recommended this transfer.
Does the Board of Selectmen wish to make a recommendation, Mr. Murphy?
The Board of Selectmen unanimously recommends, again, this is a department that received cuts in several areas, and the board felt it appropriate to restore this funding at this time. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. The motion is for $7,800 to be raised and appropriated from the tax levy to increase line 42 of the fiscal 2003 operating budget health expenses. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. Chair is in doubt. On the motion, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. And those opposed, well, all those in favor, raise your right hand. And with my tellers, please go to work. Sometimes we go on autopilot. Mr. Lydotes.
29.
29. Mr. Jones. 42. Mr. Romano. 52. All those opposed, please raise your right hand. Yeah. Mr. Lydotes.
10.
10. Mr. Romano.
23.
23. Mr. Jones.
44.
44. The vote is 123 in favor, 77 opposed. The motion is carried. Line 53. Mr. Murphy.
Line 53, Elder Services Salaries. I move to increase line 53 of the FY 2003 operating budget, Elder Services Salaries, by the sum of $8,812, and that said sum be raised and appropriated from the tax levy.
Finance Committee does not recommend.
Does the Board of Selectmen have a recommendation, Mr. Murphy?
The Board of Selectmen unanimously recommends. Our Director of Elder Services has been able to obtain a grant. This is funding for half. So if we approve this tonight, then this can be added to the grant funding, and we did cut an entire position in that department, and this will add additional resources to that department, and I would urge the body to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Any further discussion on the main motion under line 53? Please state your name and address, ma'am.
Vicki D. Simone, 4 Fox Run. If we add this back in, does the grant, is it just a one-time thing, or will it help fund it next year, too?
Mr. Murphy.
It's a one-year position, but it is renewable.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. On the main motion, under line item 53, $8,812 to be raised and appropriated from the tax levy to increase line 53 of the fiscal 2003 operating budget. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. The motion is carried. Line 58,